Hi, I'm Holly, and with my sister Heather, you're listening to Haunted Family Podcast, a weekly podcast about the paranormal, unsolved mysteries, and even some true crime.
And stupid criminals.
Yes. This week is, I don't know, see, some of our true crime are they're just so stupid. So it's like a big stupid criminal. This week is true crime, and he kind of was a stupid criminal. We kind of get both.
I think that this week's episode is really kind of the nature versus nurture conundrum.
Yes.
And it's also the why it's bad to give people who grew up poor lots and lots of money while they're still young and irresponsible. And by young and irresponsible,
yes,
in your early 20s. And you've just signed a multi-million-dollar athletic athletic contract.
Well, okay, I know that today's episode we're talking about our favorite sport of
I know
football.
nothing about football.
How did you be in our family and not know anything about football?
I don't know.
See, I started to say we come from a football family and we had to know something, but apparently Heather somehow sidestepped that and didn't know anything.
Listen, the person we're talking about today apparently was a tight end. I don't even know what a tight end is.
Oh my God. Okay, listen, I will tell you what a tight end is. Actually, I have something really funny to tell everybody that Emmy said. Okay, we'll start with that.
I want to say something first. We planned this episode many months ago before Aaron Hernandez took his own life. And as we're talking about this, we're talking to my friend, paranormal superstar, well, in my eyes, Luann, and we're talking about Aaron Hernandez. And at the time, she just thought our podcast did paranormal stuff. And she's like, why are you covering Aaron Hernandez? There's so many other things you can cover from New England, blah, blah, blah. And then it dawned on her, oh wait, we're also a true crime podcast. But she was trying to figure out how Aaron Hernandez fit in with the paranormal.
Oh, I don't know how he would fit in with the paranormal.
Unless he's haunting somebody now.
He probably is. So we were sitting in the car yesterday. I said, I'm trying to think of a way to explain football to people who listen to us who may not understand what it is we're talking about. And Emmy said, okay, so Emmy was like, well, the people who listen to your podcast, they like creepy stuff, so you need to probably explain it like you would a cult. So you've got the cult leader who is your quarterback, and he tells everybody what to do, kind of like, think Jim Jones. So then you've got the center, and the center is going to touch the ball at every single play because he hands the ball off to the quarterback. So in this instant, we're going to think of him kind of as the cult leader's right-hand man because the quarterback can't do his job without the center handing him the ball. Cult leader can't do his job without his right-hand man, giving him whatever it is that he needs. Then you've got your linemen who in your cult are going to be your bodyguards. Now, you've got your average cult members. And the average cult members are going to be, in this scenario, they're going to be your receivers and your backs, your running back and your fullback. So those people, they're going to get the ball, they're going to start trying to gain yardage. In other words, they're going to recruit new members so that you have more people. And the funny thing is, in this scenario, she did not tell us what a tight end is. But the tight end is actually a really cool position because they're very versatile. It's kind of a hybrid. So depending on what your team needs and depending on your coach, you can either play more as an offensive lineman, which means you're protecting your quarterback, or you can be a receiver, which means you're going to handle the ball.
Okay, none of that still makes any sense.
Well, I feel like I need to kick you out of the family now.
I'm sure I'm not the only person in the family that doesn't understand football.
No, I think you're the only person.
Let's ask Mom.
Okay, Mom is not really our part of our family.
It's probably the only episode she listens to. She'll take offense to that.
No, sorry, Mom. Okay, you know what? Your lack of knowledge on football absolutely explains while we were on our vacation when we passed that road that said like Vince Lombardi Highway or whatever, and nobody in the car knew who he was. Do you remember who he is?
Are you sure this one we was on vacation?
Yes, because we weren't on the New Jersey Turnpike. Actually, we were. We were on the freaking New Jersey Turnpike.
Oh wait, no, hold on. I remember this because we got him confused with the Stanley Cup, Lord Stanley.
Okay, I did not get him confused with anything because I know who he is.
Me and the girls did. Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry.
I know that you at least watched the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
How do you not know that the trophy is called the Vince Lombardi Trophy?
I don't pay attention.
Oh my God. Next week on Haunted Family Podcast, Holly is alone because her sister is dead.
If I die, blame her. Pull up this episode as proof. Only ask for the raw data because she might have cut it out.
Okay. Anyway, who cares what Heather thinks? Let's talk about my favorite sport.
Oh, yeah. No, I bet we were not in New Jersey. Apparently Vince Lombardi was born in Brooklyn, so I bet we were in Brooklyn.
It's as we were crossing the bridge.
Yeah, I bet it was when we just got into New York, because he was born in Brooklyn, and we drove through Brooklyn and managed not to get murdered.
Barely. I'm still like completely baffled that you don't know anything. We went to like every home game in high school.
I didn't watch them.
Why not?
I don't know. Why are you judging me?
Because I'm concerned for you.
What?
Does Dad know that you don't know anything about football?
Football is not life or death.
It is.
No, it's not. Football has no bearing on my day-to-day life.
Well, it has lots of bearing on my day-to-day life.
How?
There's probably not a day that goes by that I do not reference it in some way.
See, I never reference football. Ever. Okay, I feel like we've got on a really big tangent. So, let's talk about the many crimes of one Mr. Aaron Hernandez.
Okay, so Aaron started out just a super talented athlete in the wonderful state of Connecticut.
Kind of a rundown town in Connecticut. Well, I don't know. I think maybe rundown is too harsh. It was a town very much experiencing some economic depression from the closing of factories. We understand that. We grew up in a former coal camp, so we can kind of, we know the type of scenario that is.
So he was the youngest of two, right?
Yes.
Okay.
His older brother,
DJ,
yeah, he
also played football.
Yeah, I think his brother actually goes by Jonathan now, but his brother also played football and was also very successful.
I think it would have been my last name that I changed, not my first. So the dad, this is kind of where things get off track for Aaron Hernandez. So he had a super devoted father who built a gym in their basement and made sure that both boys were on the straight and narrow. They stayed out of trouble, they worked out, they didn't miss practice.
His mother was a little less devoted.
Yeah, his mother was arrested for betting, taking bookie. What's that called? Like if you're a bookie, you take bets.
I don't think she was actually. She was setting up the bets, but she was not the. She was the in-between person.
Okay. Well, anyway, she got in trouble, but there was no charges filed or anything. She also, when Aaron was 16, his super loving, supportive, always there for him dad went in for a routine hernia surgery and died. So that left him with his mom, who then started having an affair. Well, actually, she started having an affair before he died, but with her husband's niece's husband. And when her husband died, she married the guy and moved him into their house. Now, that in itself would be bad, but he was also a coke dealer, and they fought all the time. And at one point, he slashed her face and some other body part. It doesn't actually ever go into detail on what happened, and she called the police and had him arrested. But 2 years later, when he got out, she married him freaking again. And all the while, DJ was away at Yukon, and Aaron was left to deal with all that without any support system. And everybody who knew him always said, well, up until that point, he was kind of a class clown, and he was just, so much fun, and was just an all-around good guy. After his dad's death, he turned into one crime right after another. So he was youngish when he graduated high school. I think he was about 17.
He was 17 when he enrolled in the University of Florida.
Yeah.
To play football, of course. He was originally going to follow in his brother's footsteps and play for University of Connecticut, I believe.
University of Connecticut.
But changed his mind and decided to go play for Florida. I want to say Florida is a better football school than Connecticut, but I don't know.
It is.
'Cause I know nothing about football.
It's no Alabama, but it's a good school.
No University of Tennessee. Oh wait, they don't really.
Yeah. We love them. That does not mean that they're a good football school. So in 2007, he starts at the University of Florida, and he starts dating a girl named Cheyenne Jenkins. And they continue to date up until he died. He only played 3 seasons for the University of Florida before he put his name in for the draft.
And he was picked 3rd round.
Fourth
round.
Fourth round.
Which is still pretty
decent.
decent.
Here's the issue. It is, but he was probably the most talented. No. That was his extension deal. So he was probably the most talented tight end that was in the draft. But I think he was drafted at the same time as Rob Gronkowski, and so he probably was not the best, but he was really good and should have gone probably first round. But he did not, because he had already had a string of legal trouble. Before we get into him being drafted and all of that deal, let's talk about his troubles. So he is 17 years old. He is a freshman in Gainesville, Florida, and was in a bar drinking.
That's really no different than any other college freshman, though.
Right. Now, the thing is, though, he refused to pay his bill, and a waiter was supposed to escort him out. Well, the waiter turned to walk away, and Aaron punched him in the side of the head and ruptured his eardrum. So the police came, charged him with a felony battery. It was all settled out of court. Nothing happened. That was really it. That was the first in a string of issues that Aaron has had. Also in 2007, this one happened in September though. 5 shots were fired into a car that had Randall Carson, Justin Glass, Corey Smith. They were just sitting at a stoplight. They had left a nightclub. They said that a Hawaiian or Hispanic male is the one that shot him, but they said 230 pounds. But I am terrible at judging people's weight and height.
And as we all know, eyewitness accounts are often wrong.
Yeah. One of the passengers in the car still has seizures today. Aaron invoked his right to counsel, but then refused to talk to police, and no charges were ever filed. Well, it was never filed at the time. It did, I don't know, years later, once the murder that we're going to talk about happened, the police kind of started going back to look at him as, he may have been the one that had done it. So then we've got in 2012, well actually, let's stop there, because in 2010 is when his name was up for the draft. Like I said, he should have gone probably first round, maybe second. But instead he went 4th, and nobody wanted him because he was trouble. He was just he was already showing signs of being uncontrollable and having an awful temper. So he wrote a letter to all the teams and basically begged for somebody to consider him and give him a chance. And only one team did. And and that was the Patriots.
The Patriots really have no real scruples about ethics and the such.
I mean,
I may not know
a little bit better
football,
than the Steelers, but
I do know that the Patriots have been caught in several cheating scandals.
I still say they're better than the Steelers.
Well, yeah, but
ethics-wise. And this is the episode where all of the sports fans write us hateful letters.
Well, I'm just saying, you should be able to win without cheating.
Well, that's true.
And you know what? You should also be able to win without steroids. And that goes for all sports. Seriously. I'm looking at you, Michael Phelps, and your pot scandal. Oh, goodness.
So anyway, he's drafted by the Patriots, and he didn't get that $40 million contract right away. Instead, he got whatever was the base salary. So it was like the lowest.
I think it's still like over $1 million though.
I'm not saying that he got peanuts or anything. I'm just saying that he did not get a extravagant contract right away. In 2012, his daughter was born, and he bought a huge ass house, and I cannot remember. It's in right outside Boston, but I cannot remember the name of the town.
Oh, the place he got his house at after he got his contract?
Yeah.
North Attleboro.
That's it.
And I'm probably saying that wrong. I can't pronounce words as beautifully as people with that amazing Massachusetts accent can.
I know. Seriously, I just want to stay there and just listen to people talk all the time.
If any of our listeners from Massachusetts, I'm in love with y'all's accent.
Y'all's accent.
Yes, y'all's accent.
Okay, so he buys this big house. He has a baby, and he gets engaged to his girlfriend, Cheyenne. In 2012, there's a double homicide that takes place. July 16th, 2012, the Boston South End. You got Daniel... okay, I'm so sorry. I know I'm going to butcher your name. Daniel Aubrey, who's 29. Safiro Furtada, who was 28. They lived in Dorchester. So, again, just like in 2007, shots were fired in their vehicle. The interesting thing about this is that, okay, my notes are crazy, so I am pretty sure that once the shots were fired, either it was in this double homicide, or I'm so sorry, it was in the 2007 one. I can't remember which one, but anyway, the vehicle that he was driving sped off, and it was found a year later in his uncle's garage, Hernandez's uncle's garage back in Bristol. Directly tied him to that crime, and I want to say that it was the one that was the one in 2007. Then we've got 2013. So on February 13th, 2013, Alexander Bradley and Aaron Hernandez were riding together on Interstate 95. And they had just gotten into an argument at a Miami strip club. And Bradley says that Aaron shot him in the face and then dumped his body. But he at first, when his body was found, he lived. He said that he didn't know who had shot him. And it wasn't until the murder trial came about that Alexander Bradley was like, oh yeah, totally remember who shot me.
That's suspect.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
I hate to laugh because Alexander Bradley lost his eye.
Oh, well, for him. But maybe he wasn't seeing clearly that night.
Okay. Man, this is a lot of crimes for somebody in their 20s.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you got June 18th, 2013.
He's committed more crimes before his 27th birthday than I've committed in my entire life. Of course, one would be more than I'm lame.
Okay, so on June, we'll say 15th, Aaron Hernandez went to a club with his girlfriend Cheyenne's sister's boyfriend. So that would be like, Ernie and Anthony going to a club together.
I don't see that happening.
Well, I don't see either one of them going to a club, but hypothetically.
I don't think that Ernie and Anthony even listen to the same type of music.
No, they don't.
If you can understand the words, it's too lame for Anthony.
Anthony and Ernie go to a bar together. Like, see, other than the sisters, they really have nothing in common. So it is very much like Anthony and Ernie. Other than us, they don't have anything in common.
But they went to this club anyway.
They did. Although Odin Lloyd did play semi-pro football, but he also lived with his mom and grandma, and he painted houses on the side because it's semi-pro, so it doesn't pay anything. Yeah, or if any money. So I don't know how long he had been dating Shania Jenkins, who is Cheyenne's sister. Nothing says how long they've been together. But anyway, so they go out to a club. And while they're at this club, Odin Lloyd runs into two people that he knows. Some reports say that they were cousins of his. And those guys that he ran into were telling him that Aaron Hernandez is a bad guy and that he needs to stay away from him, and that, he's kind of trashy and just, warning signs to get the hell out. And he didn't listen. Well, when he goes back into the VIP room with Aaron Hernandez, Aaron is pissed that he was talking to these guys, and they argued. They argued in the club, they argued outside of the club, then they kind of split ways for the night. Now, this is what I don't understand. Aaron gave Odin Lloyd the keys to his Suburban. I don't understand that. I wouldn't even give you the keys to my car, and you are my sister.
You gave me the keys to your car before.
I know, and I'm scared every time I do. But anyway.
Just because I blew that one tire out in the middle of nowhere, suburbia, Boston. Doesn't mean anything. It was just one tire.
Except it was the day before a holiday and at closing time for every place to repair it.
I still say that those garages were just being jerks. Eastern Kentucky, they would have pushed us to the top of the list.
Anyway, the next day, the 16th, Lloyd is out again with a bunch of friends, having a good time, partying. Aaron, however, is at home, getting more and more and more pissed off about the fact that Odin Lloyd talked to other people at the bar. He is like a freaking jealous teenager.
I think there's more going on there than we have been told, though. Because it does not make sense why he was so upset over Odin Lloyd talking to somebody else. Unless, do you think that Aaron Hernandez and Odin Lloyd may have been secret lovers?
I doubt that.
Because, remember, there's this whole controversy that apparently Aaron Hernandez had a boyfriend in prison. Oh, newsflash. He goes to prison in this, yeah.
Yeah, well, don't jump the gun.
Well, I mean, he does eventually go to prison. I'm just warning our listeners.
Anyway, so on the 16th, Aaron Hernandez is pissed off, and he's pacing his house, and he's just mad, and he calls up two friends from his hometown of Bristol, Connecticut. Okay, so one is Ernest Wallace, and the other one is Carlos Ortiz. I don't know how long that they've been friends, but they grew up in the same town. So he called them and told them to get there as fast as possible. So these guys show up and they concoct a plan. So the next night, Aaron is texting Odin Lloyd off and on about how he's going to come get him and they're going to do whatever. And so they rent a car, and I cannot remember what kind of car it was. An Altima maybe? Anyway, it doesn't matter. In the early mornings of June 17th, Aaron Hernandez and those two guys show up at Odin Lloyd's mom's house where he's living. But before they get there, they stop and they get gas, and they get they get a cheap cigar, which my research says is to roll marijuana in. And then they buy cotton candy flavored Blue Bubblicious gum. And this is important later on, that Blue Bubblicious gum. So they pick Lloyd up, and almost immediately he starts texting his sister. And he tells her, "Do you see who I'm with?" And then he responds again, "NFL." And then he responds again, this is the last text to her, "Just so you know." Well, the sister thinks that he's just bragging, so she doesn't really do anything. She doesn't know that he's sending SOS signals to her. She just thinks,
he's just clearer to her.
I know, okay, Heather, if you're about to be murdered and you're in a car and you know that it's the end for you. Will you please text me, about to be shot,
Send help.
such and such did it, send help.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then I will send help. But if you just send me a text that says, do you see who I'm with? I'm probably going to be like, no, because we live an hour away from each other and I don't know who you're with. And I would assume it was Anthony, and then I would have him arrested for murdering you, and he was probably completely innocent.
I'll be like, I'll text you, Holly. I'll be like, hey, Holly, you need to track my phone.
Yeah. Okay, see, I'd do that. So then the, very next day, the police show up.
The very next day. Okay, sorry.
Now see, this is where he becomes a stupid criminal. He tries to delete 6 hours of security camera footage. He has a team of house cleaners come and clean the house. And his cell phone, he turns it over to the police, broken. Sad for him, they still were able to get all the data off of it.
Because he didn't know how to properly destroy it.
Right, he just smashed it.
If you ever wanted to destroy your phone, smashing it is not the way to make it unable to pull data off of it. But you also ought to realize that with cell phones now, a lot of stuff can be pulled directly from your phone provider.
Yeah. With
the proper warrants, of course. Probably should be telling our listeners all that.
This is our listeners, they probably already know.
True.
Now, see, this is the thing. The security footage shows him with a gun in and out of his property and all this, and apparently he didn't leave home without a gun because he had gotten extremely paranoid there for a while. Now, I researched before we went on our trip because I knew that Massachusetts had strict gun laws.
We'd already been warned about that from our
we'd already been warned. Right. And I am a gun owner, and I don't go on trips without my gun. I just don't. If I am, especially if I'm driving at night, or especially if I'm driving any distance that's longish, I have my gun with me. That's just the way it is. So I knew that I was taking it on our trip with us, because in my opinion it would have been stupid to leave it at home. But I wanted to be safe, and I wanted to follow the law. In my research, I had to have my gun unloaded and locked up. With an actual lock.
Which led to a very funny conversation after somebody kept, pulling up beside of us in traffic. And Emmy said, "You better watch out, mister. We're only 3 minutes from our gun."
It was Abby that said that.
I thought it was Emmy.
Yeah. I think that was the gazillion hours that we were driving the turnpike.
Oh my god.
And
so, Florida is getting ready to get hit by a massive hurricane.
Yes.
And the governor has taken the tolls from all the toll roads. He's lifted the tolls.
Well, that's nice.
I joked that if this was New Jersey, they would double them.
Ain't that the truth? Never in my life, people from New Jersey, have I ever encountered anything
as
like
crazy
your tolls.
As your tolls. We will probably avoid your state from now on just because of those tolls.
New Jersey took a toll on me.
The T in turnpike means toll booth.
Oh, anyway, so back to the story. I know from our research that you can't just drive in Massachusetts with your gun in a glove box, or with your gun in the seat beside you, which your gun in your seat beside you completely legal in Kentucky because it's not concealed.
Yeah, Kentucky is an open carry state. If your gun is in full view, it's good to go. You don't need a permit or anything.
Yeah. However, had we done that in Boston, we would still be in jail right now.
Seriously screwed up laws up there.
That's just the way it is. The murder weapon has never been found. However, after the fact, Aaron Hernandez called his girlfriend, Cheyenne, to take a box that was in their basement and dispose of it. Now, she doesn't remember where she disposed of it at, but do you know how she disposed of it?
How?
She borrowed her sister's car.
Hmm.
The sister whose her boyfriend just fucking murdered. Yeah, so she borrowed her sister's car to dispose of the sister's boyfriend's murder weapon.
Okay, so can I just ask a question though?
Yes.
Why did you borrow a car if they were living in a $1 million house?
I don't know. Why are they renting vehicles if they live in a $1 million house? For a minute there, I thought I said $1 house. It's been a long day. Yeah, I don't know. So he was charged with possessing a large capacity firearm, 2 counts of possessing a firearm without a firearm identification card, first degree murder, and actually I think that was it. Oh, and 1 count of carrying a firearm without a license. All of this was going to give him life without the possibility of parole because Massachusetts doesn't have the death penalty. He was held in Bristol County, Massachusetts, in the jail. On June 27th and 28th, also of 2013, Carlos Ortiz and Ernest Wallace were arrested in connection with the death, but the searches of their property came up that they had ammunition and clothing that they believed was evidence, but that was it. So Ortiz was held on a $500,000 bail, and on September 27th, he was indicted on accessory of murder after the fact. Cheyenne was also charged with accessory to murder after the fact, and so was Aaron Hernandez's cousin, Tanya Singleton. But nothing came of that. Their charges were dropped or something because nothing happened to them. Okay, the trial started on January 29th in our favorite little town of Fall River.
Oh, I didn't know that that's what the trial was. That's cute.
Yeah. So for our paranormal listeners, something very famous happened in Fall River.
What? Oh. Lizzie Borden took an axe.
Lizzie Borden. Yep.
Well, I don't believe she actually killed him.
Although I do believe that Aaron Hernandez did kill them.
We need to do Lizzie Borden at some point.
We will.
We need to start planning next year's schedule. So if you have anything that you want us to talk about, send us an email. I might have said that a little creepily.
Yes, you did. That's okay then. So April 15th, 2015, he was convicted of first-degree murder and all the weapons charges, and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
That's not where this ends.
No. Although I do think that it's kind of interesting, serendipitous maybe, that the Massachusetts Correctional Institute that he was at a maximum security intake facility, was just a mile and a half from Gillette Stadium.
What's Gillette Stadium?
Oh, Heather. Gillette Stadium is where the Patriots play.
Oh, okay.
I'm disappointed in you. Obviously, the Patriots cut him from, oh yeah, actually they cut him before anything, before the trial or anything. They were just like, nope, sorry. Oh, you know what? See, I got distracted and I totally forgot to say that after his rookie year playing with the Patriots, that's when they offered him the $40 million deal. So he got $40 million for 5 years, and he got a $12 million signing bonus.
He had some pretty decent money.
Yeah, but he had to play a little while to get that because he had to prove himself. I mean, he was a really good player. He was really big. He could catch and he could run, which is perfect for the position that he played.
I am not really big. I can't catch and I cannot run.
And that is why you do not play football.
Little known fact, listeners. Holly tried out for our grade school football team.
I did not try out. I wanted to kick because I don't want to be hit. And I can't run.
They wouldn't let her on the team, though.
I know. All I wanted to do was be a kicker. I could kick, right?
You can't really kick very well.
I probably could have back then. I don't know. Also, little known fact, my boyfriend played football in high school, and the last time until we got back together that I was ever at his high school's football field, I was returning his jersey to him.
Fun fact, I think you're weird.
Think I'm weird? Why?
I don't know. Recycling high school boyfriend.
Okay, so Now, this is where we get into money issues. NFL does have a salary cap, so they kind of had to prorate his signing bonus over the life of his contract. So when they cut him, they got to keep some of that money that they hadn't already paid out to him, which was about $7.5 million. They also took all of his jerseys that they had sold in the pro shop online. Removed all of them. Removed all of his memorabilia, all of his merchandise. He was pulled off of the Madden video game.
I mean, this all happened pretty much instantaneously.
Oh, yes. He lost endorsement after endorsement.
I mean, and let's face it, real athletes make probably the bulk of their income off endorsement deals.
Yeah. Pro Football Hall of Fame removed a picture of him. University of Florida removed all of his likeness from every location at their football facility. And I mean, he was a big player for them. I mean, he played with Tim Tebow, who I can't stand. But sorry if you're listening to Tim Tebow, you just really get on my nerves.
And it's not because you're over religious.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Well, I have no problem with him being over religious. I have a problem with him being over religious and in your face about it. He kind of made him being religious more important than him playing football. I mean, he was there to play football.
Right. I mean, that would be like me going to work every day and
wanting to pray with all your clients.
No, I'm not even gonna go the religious route. I'm gonna say it'd be like me going to work every day, and instead of doing my job, I made sure that I told everybody every day about
the podcast.
Exactly. Like, I preached the podcast. I publicized the podcast. I shoved the podcast down everybody's throat instead of doing my actual job. And that's kind of what he did.
I tell my goats about our podcast. They don't care.
Well, I don't think that they would care.
Max just sort of looks at me like, give me a cracker.
So, remember that murder that happened back in 2007? No, 2013?
Do I remember this?
Well, I just talked about it.
Yes,
where
I remember.
The Daniel Aubrey 27 and Safiro Furtado.
I had frittatas for dinner. I think this is Furtado. Nelly. Oh, I think it's spelled like Nelly Furtado, that singer.
Oh.
That's probably not even her last name. I suck at everything.
I know. Okay. So do you remember that murder?
I remember this murder.
Okay.
It was in Miami, right?
It was. Well, Aaron Hernandez was a suspect in that, as I mentioned like earlier. And he was on trial for it. And all of that good stuff. And I should say that while that was going on, he was also appealing his murder of Odin Lloyd. So he had one murder that was being appealed, and then he was on trial for another murder.
I mean,
the double homicide.
Happened like what, a week apart?
They were very close. I want to say a couple months, like 3 months apart.
Okay, I know they were pretty close.
He was actually acquitted of the double homicide. No, wait. That one happened in 2012. So it was actually a year later that he killed Odin Lloyd. Okay, so that's what you got going on. He was appealing one, acquitted of another, and then right after he was acquitted April 14th of this year. April 19th, 5 days later, he was found hanging in his jail cell.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't even end there.
No. This case actually just got juicier.
He put shampoo in the floor so that people coming in would have a hard time keeping traction. He wrote John 3:16 on his forehead and on his hands, and which, for those of you who do not know what John 3:16 is, it's the one that goes, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life." And yes, I knew that off the top of my head. I didn't even have to look it up. That's the only one I know.
And it's not to be confused with Austin 3:16.
Yeah, because Stone Cold said so. Now, at first they were saying that there was no suicide note. And then it came out that, oh wait, there were 3 suicide notes. One to Cheyenne, one to his 4-year-old daughter, and then one to, I don't know. Rumors say his boyfriend on the inside.
Which
I don't know that.
I have it from inside sources that apparently homosexuality or gay for the stay is pretty common in prisons. I have friends who are prison guards.
We have a cousin who is a prison guard.
We do. We have a cousin who is a federal prison guard. So yeah, apparently the rumors about homosexuality in prison, not exaggerated.
Yeah, I just don't know that I believe that though. But
I don't even
anyway,
I do believe that there was probably a letter to somebody he had confided to in prison.
Yeah.
But I've not been provided any proof that he was.
I have not either, and therefore I'm not going to say that he was. So his brain was actually taken to Boston University, and it was studied for signs of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is a progressive degenerative disease that's found in people who have had repeated blows to the head, like football players and boxers and other sports where concussions are common. So I don't think we know the results of that yet. Now, Massachusetts has this interesting thing where if you die while you're
still in appeals,
it vacates your crime.
So it's like he never murdered Odin. It's like he's never found guilty of murdering Odin Lloyd.
Right. So when he murdered himself, he made himself, in the eyes of the court, innocent.
I did not know that they had that law. That's very interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. So we still don't know what that is going to mean long term for Odin Lloyd's family, who was suing him in civil court.
I do kind of hope that it makes his money off limits to them, because, you know, his child should not be left destitute because her dad was a stupid criminal.
Yeah. See, I agree. And honestly,
and that child is going to be the one that's going to hurt the most out of this.
I would probably feel differently if somebody did something to my children. But I just feel that profiting off of the death of your kids is wrong. So, as awful as it is that Odin Lloyd was murdered, that doesn't entitle
his parents to a payday.
Right. Especially considering, I don't care if Shauna Jenkins gets a dime. Aaron Hernandez's daughter didn't do anything wrong. She is an innocent 4-year-old who is now left without a dad. And she deserves every penny of his money.
I honestly believe that he killed himself to protect her.
Probably.
I think his attorney, Jose Baez, of Top Mom fame, doesn't believe that he killed himself.
Well, neither does Shauna.
So I'm sure that they have already pulled the prison videos and know who was coming and going in the area of his cell, because he was in a single occupant cell.
Right.
Around the time that he supposedly hung himself.
Now, also, supposedly, because we have no pictures, he barricaded himself into his cell. Well, we have to take their word for it. So I don't know what the outcome, if there's a monetary difference if he kills himself or if he doesn't. I don't know. I know that, actually, I'm not really for sure what my insurance clause is. But I know that when I was married before, his insurance had a clause in it that if he killed himself within so many years of getting his life insurance, we didn't get anything. Not that he was suicidal. He wasn't. I'm just saying that was a clause that was in there. There was also a clause that if he was dismembered, I got double the money or something like really weirdly random like that.
That would make it almost beneficial for her to cut off his leg.
He's still alive.
And all of his limbs are attached.
They are. So I don't know what his insurance policy said. And I think now, and I could be wrong, but I think that because the crime was vacated, I think that Shauna and their daughter gets all that money from the Patriots that was coming to him.
I hope so. And I honestly hope that the mom doesn't take and blow all the money before the child is of age.
I know, me too. I hope that she starts a trust for the kid, because really, it's the kid's money.
It is. So why did Aaron take such a deviant path when his brother went the exact opposite way? His brother coached for a time at a university in Iowa, and he's now a high school football coach in Connecticut.
Okay, do you want my expert child development opinion?
I want your professional, you went to school for child rearing opinion on this.
Okay, my expert opinion is it's because he was still at home. His brother was off to college, and it had the changes that were happening had less of an impact on him because he was no longer in the household on a daily basis. And Aaron was in the house. He was living that shit that his mom brought in. And also, fun fact, Aaron is one of the few NFL players who did not immediately buy his mom a new house when he got his draft money.
Actually, until, she kept a job even while he was, his pay increased. She had to keep a day job. I know a lot of star athletes, when they start making their millions, their parents no longer have to work. I don't think he really felt the same way about his mom.
Well, I fully believe that she fucked up his life. I'm not saying that he would have been crime free, but she sure did not help him stay out of trouble. You've got a lot of stuff going on in a short period of time, and he just lost his number one support system. He didn't have anybody. He had no one. And he's got money now being thrown at him. He's got all of these offers and plans and life-changing stuff that's happening. And he has to make decisions. And he's a kid. This is why I absolutely believe, and I know that we're talking about the NFL and not the NBA, but this is why I hate that the NBA only makes you play 1 year of college ball before you can put yourself up for the draft, because you have kids who are not mature enough to make the decisions.
And a lot of times these kids grew up dirt poor.
Right. Aaron Hernandez's dad at one point worked as a janitor. They did not have a ton of money growing up. I fully believe that he had a loving father and a supportive father, and had his dad not died, he probably would not be so full of anger and resentment.
I think if his dad had lived, he'd have been okay. He probably would not have been, a perfect role model and star citizen, because I think that he did have a bit too much of his mom in him.
Well, yeah.
But I think he would have been okay. His dad seemed to be a grounding force in his life.
Yeah. But that's why I think that DJ turned out as well as he did, because he was older. He was more mature. He was already gone to college. He was already making his way. And, also, he was not the player that Aaron was. He was not a bad player. He was quarterback for the University of Connecticut. He was a good player, but he was not an Aaron Hernandez.
And there comes a certain amount of pressure, even on the high school level, when you're a good player.
That's true.
And some people can't handle that pressure.
Right now, I have friends whose kids play ball, and they're graduating. And I'm telling you that is all that I have heard in the last 6 to 8 months is college visits. Who's giving us the best offer? And
wait, hold on. A kid from Brown County is actually decent enough for for college football?
Yes.
Above a Moorhead level?
Yes.
I mean, I may not know much about football, but I know that Brown County does not have a good team. I mean, you all have a good band.
We have had terrible, terrible, terrible luck with coaches, and we're constantly rebuilding. Constantly rebuilding. So we have good players, but they have not had any stability with coaches. And you can't really expect a really good team if they don't know what to expect from year to year. That's why the high school that Heather and I went to is defending state champions. And before that they were state runner-up.
But it took a long time to get there.
Yes. Pretty much they had to change the entire culture of the county. And they had to, this is what they did. They got a coach in who made it a point to all of his feeder programs, so his middle school, the youth league, he made sure that all of those coaches were doing what he wanted. Because eventually those kids are coming to him. The point is, so Round County might eventually one day get to where it needs to be. But they need to get a consistent coach in. And they need to make sure that all of the other coaches are on the same page on where the team is eventually going. We are improving. Just like 4 years ago, something like that, we made the news because we had faulty equipment that was causing concussions in our kids. It's bad when a TV station an hour away is calling you out for having shitty helmets that don't meet any kind of requirement whatsoever. So we at least have that going for us now.
True. Now let's hope that none of them end up being an Aaron Hernandez.
I doubt that any of them will be an Aaron Hernandez.
Johnson County over the years has had several very promising football players who ended up going to college and not being able to handle college life, college responsibility, and college level football.
Is this a dig at our cousin?
No, I'd actually completely forgot about that. But yeah, him too. And I think that a lot of that is the fact that high schools, at least high schools in our area, do not prepare you for what life in college will be like. They still want to baby you and hold your hand, and then you get to college and you're like, oh crap, no one's here to make me go to class.
True.
No one's here to make me do my homework.
Our cousin got a football scholarship, and he made it, 2 weeks into classes before he packed up all of his stuff and came back home.
Called our grandma and made her come get him.
Did he even? No, he had a truck.
Yeah, but that was the joke, that he called grandma and said he needs to come home.
Yeah, well, he did call grandma and say that he needed to come home, but she didn't go get him.
But yeah, he's not the only one that has went to our high school and then went on to college and couldn't handle it.
And that happens at all kinds of high schools, not just ours.
I'm sure it does. It's sad though.
And not everybody who plays is gonna end up murdering somebody. Probably.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't think Ernie's killed anybody.
That you know of.
No, I don't think he's killed anybody. Okay. We ready to move on to another stupid criminal?
I think so. And we've got a stupid criminal for this week. Did we decide what we're going to do?
I thought we were going to do the cop.
Oh, yeah. I love stupid cops. This guy is...
Were you a stupid cop?
No. This guy really wasn't just a stupid cop, though. He was also a paramedic. So you would think that he wouldn't have made this mistake. This probably career-ending mistake. Hold on, let me put my notes in this. Okay. Our stupid criminal this week, I'm sure you have heard of. because he is Detective Jeff Payne. Who is Jeff Payne, you may ask, for those who didn't
I don't know, but I swear every time I hear that, I want to like make some kind of Bring in the Pain reference.
Well, I mean, I guess he did bring in the pain. He went to the University of Utah Hospital, to their burn unit, to draw blood. Apparently, cops in that town have been trained as phlebotomists, and they can do blood draws, which I personally do not like that idea. That's unsettling to me. A few hours, or a little bit earlier, there had been an accident. Another law enforcement agency had been in pursuit of a guy, and the person they were chasing crossed the center line and hit this truck head on.
Right. Then the truck bursts into flames. The driver gets out on fire, and he is taken to the hospital, and he's unconscious at this point. Now, he did nothing wrong.
No, he didn't. He was driving the truck, minding his own business in the correct lane, and he did nothing wrong. So when he gets to the University of Utah burn unit, he is under the care of charge nurse Alex Wubbles, who is a 2-time U.S. Olympian.
Is she? I did not know that.
Yes, she was a Arctic skier.
Really? Good for her.
Yes. And then after that, all that said and done, she went to school and became a nurse. And
well, great. So, this cop comes in. Keep in mind, the driver did nothing wrong. He is a victim.
Yes. And, I mean, honestly, he will probably end up, him or if he dies, his estate, will probably end up suing the cops that was responsible for the police chase because their negligence led to that accident.
Yes. So, the cops show up and they want to take his blood to determine whether or not he was under the influence of anything. Now keep in mind, he is a victim. He did not do anything wrong. He was following all traffic rules. And Nurse Webble said, no, it's not happening. The law says you need a warrant or he needs to give consent. And he is incapable of giving consent because he is unconscious.
Well, the cop tried to tell her that there was implied consent, and she put him in his place about that. She has implied consent to treat him because he is in her hospital. The cop does not have implied consent to draw blood to prove that he may or may not be a criminal. So she did what she should do. She went to her supervisor, got a printout of the policy for blood draws that was drawn up with the hospital and that law enforcement agency. Both signed off on it. And she takes it to the cop and she explains to him exactly why she is refusing his request. At several points in time, if you watch the video, he tries to grab at her. And eventually, he calls his supervisor. His supervisor says, arrest her. If she won't let you do the draw, arrest her. Which, that is when his supervisor screws up.
In my opinion, the supervisor needs to be fired also.
I'm pretty sure that the other person who has not been named, that has been suspended, is the supervisor. So this cop grabs the nurse, puts her in handcuffs, and physically drags her out of her burn unit, takes her away from her patients, and puts her in a hot police car and leaves her there. And she is there for 20-30 minutes while he goes back into the hospital. He does not get his blood draw. He finds out that they've already drawn blood as part of hospital protocol for treating him, and I guess the cop just decides that they will subpoena that later. The nurse, her supervisors, do the right thing. She lawyers up. She gets her hands on the body cameras because this cop was wearing a body camera. and they make it public. I think
As they should.
I think it was about 1 o'clock in the morning when I found the first news article about this, and I was absolutely floored that a cop would do this. And not only that, but a cop who is also a paramedic, who is in school to further his education in medicine, would say on tape that he is only going to start bringing the indigent people to that hospital to punish them for that nurse having the audacity to refuse to give him a blood draw. He's a very, very chauvinistic man, as it appears on this tape.
Yeah, and that's why he wins our stupid criminal.
Yeah, so he has been fired from his job at the ambulance service, and he has been put on administrative leave from the police department, and he will probably end up getting fired. And I hope that Nurse Wibbles does the right thing and sues the pants off that police department and him. I really do. I actually mentioned this to my boyfriend's mom. She's a nurse, and she was absolutely appalled that a cop would have the nerve to arrest a nurse in the middle of her shift, taking her away from her patients because he couldn't understand policy or the law properly. And this really, it comes down to, he is ignorant of the law, and clearly ignorant and uncaring of policy that was set forth by the hospital and his own agency. Absolutely not the type of person that we need to have a badge and a gun.
Nope.
And that is why he's our stupid criminal. And I just want to, shout out a reminder that just because they wear a badge doesn't mean they're above the law. It doesn't mean they can't be our stupid criminal.
That's true.
I think when you wear a badge to work every day, you really need to hold yourself to a higher standard than other people.
Right. I know that you are a person just like everybody else, but, you need to be better.
Yeah. And, honestly, I have a lot of friends who are cops. Whose wives are nurses. And they were horrified by this. One of them actually said, if it had been my wife, he would have been medically retired after laying hands on her.
I love him. The cop that said that is the cop that showed up on this. I had a car accident several years ago, and a truck ran over the front of my car. Monster truck style. Yeah, totally ran right over top of it. And a cop showed up, and he was being a total dick to us, even though I didn't do anything wrong. I was sitting at a red light.
So I text dispatch. The dispatcher I knew was working that night, and I was like, listen, you need to send whoever the supervisor is, because I'm getting ready to throw down with this cop you've got out here. Because he wasn't just being hard on Holly. He was taking issue. I had just bought a car, and he was taking issue with my temporary tag, saying that it looked like I'd forged it. That guy is no longer...
Again, we were both innocent people. Heather wasn't even involved in the accident.
No, I was just behind her in my car. So, yeah, this cop that we're talking about shows up, and he handles things for us, thankfully.
And then helps me move all of my stuff from my car into Heather's.
Because she had a lot of weapons in her car.
I did. Again, I travel with a gun, so I had a gun and I had several knives, and he was like, hey, let me see what kind of gun you got. Good times.
Totally. Word of advice. Just because they're a cop doesn't mean they can't be a stupid criminal. But if you're a cop and you're listening to this, you need to be better than this guy.
Yeah. Or if you're listening to this and you like us and you want to have your own podcast.
Woohoo! My favorite part of the show.
I know, where we pimp out Podbean, because we love Podbean. So if you like our podcast, or you don't like our podcast and you really just hate listening to us because we irritate you and you like to laugh at us, we don't really care why you listen. We just like the downloads. But anyway, let's say that you want to have your own podcast. Sign up for a podcast using Podbean and our affiliate code,
Haunted Family PB.
Haunted Family PB, and it's nothing extra for you, but we get a little bit of a kickback, and it's kind of a win-win situation. Win for you because Podbean is wonderful. It has amazing analytics. You can see, where in the United States you're getting downloads, where in the world you're getting downloads, what device they're downloading from. Gosh.
Speaking of Podbean,
I really just... Oh, I'm sorry.
I just pulled Podbean up. I pulled up our map, and guess what?
What?
One download from Wyoming.
Woo! We love you, Wyoming!
If you remember, last week we were shaming Wyoming because we didn't have a listener in Wyoming.
And now we do. See? California,
you're still number one.
In our hearts and on our listeners. Also, we have a website, and it's fully integrated with our Podbean account. So we don't have to go to multiple different locations and upload our episodes. It does it all for us. So it does it for us on our blog, which is hauntedfamilypodcast.com. It does it for us on our YouTube channel, which is also Haunted Family Podcast. It's just, I don't know. I can't say enough good things. And all of it is super easy because we are really lazy and we are not tech savvy at all.
We have a YouTube channel now. We're Haunted Family Podcast on YouTube also. And Podbean instantly uploads our episodes to YouTube when Holly uploads it to Podbean. We love that.
Yeah. We like that they take care of stuff for us so that we don't have to worry about it.
We have a lot going on in our lives.
We do.
Like, my house is in shambles right now because of home improvement projects.
And it's marching band season and football season. So I'm watching a lot of our marching band show this year. I'm kind of wondering if we cursed people because the name of our show is Category 5. And it's about a hurricane hitting our show, and then we rebuild at the end.
Wasn't it inspired by an actual hurricane event, though?
Well, it was inspired because our band director's boyfriend is from Myrtle Beach, so he's gone through a lot of hurricanes. And he just thought, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if we did a show that, talks about this thing that happens all the time. And it's a really cool show. I'll try to get a video of it, and then maybe next episode I'll tell you how to find it because I'm really
you can upload
excited about this show.
You can upload it to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this show. I mean, it's my daughter's last year, so I'm a little sad about that. But this show is really, I think, awesome, and we worked on props. Not for the last day, because I'm sure we'll have to do some more touch-up, but I think we're finished enough for kids to use it this weekend, and it's great. I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's our life.
And I kind of think that Ernie is just like, oh my God, can November get here so I can actually see you again?
Yeah, but you know what? It's all almost over.
It is, and then I'll be sad. But then swimming season will start.
Yay, swimming season. Okay. So, if you like listening to our episode, you can give us a shout out on Facebook or Instagram.
Or send us an email with either topics that you want to hear from us, or if you've got a stupid criminal in your area, we would love to hear it.
No hate mail, please. I'll just delete it.
Do we get hate mail?
No.
Okay, good.
But if we ever do get hate mail, I will just delete it. So
okay, you won't tell me about it, would you?
No, I won't. So don't waste your time. It'll just get deleted.
Okay, good.
No, we have not got any hate mail.
Okay, good. Yeah, please don't hate us. I mean, if you do hate us, keep it to yourself.
And if you do hate us, just don't listen to our podcast. Don't waste your time. But you should love us because we're awesome. I love us.
I love us too.
And I don't just love us because we're us. I love us because I think we're funny. We've got listeners out here shaking their heads saying, no, you're not funny.
Oh, we are funny.
Okay. Well, I think we should wrap it up because we've had a really long episode. We are encroaching on an hour and a half of record time.
So it won't be that long.
No, it'll probably be about
That
45
time.
minutes to an hour of actual. Holly's edited out all the times I've messed up.
Or ranted about people and.
Yeah. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.